We are here with Fran Fraschilla, who's a former St. John's coach, and now you're doing an analysis for college basketball on ESPN.
Yes.
My first question should be, because I know you coached and recruited that guy on the University of St. John's.
Yes.
Just tell us something about
Ron Artest.
Artist, formerly known as Ron Artest.
Yes.
Now, we should say Meta World Peace.
Meta World Peace.
Maybe you still use the old name.
Yeah, I'm responsible for him. I brought him to St. John's. I'm to blame. But he's really a wonderful guy away from the court. If you think about Meta, I still can't call him Meta, I call him Ron. Mm-hmm. But if you think of Ron, he never gets in trouble off the court.
I heard this before from other people.
And he was also the NBA citizen, he got the Citizenship Award this year, or last year.
For social work, people with psychic travel.
Exactly, and then doing work in Africa as well, with poverty. So off the court, he's a sweet guy, and he's very loyal. He cares about family. He cares about helping others. On the court, he's a very competitive guy. And sometimes when you're competitive, your greatest strength is your biggest weakness, because he gets in trouble sometimes when he battles with other players. So he's a different guy, but I remember him when he was 16 years old, brought him to St. John's, and I'm proud of him, except when he does something dumb, which may happen once or twice a season. But otherwise, I think he's had a great career.
So you knew him when he was really young,
Yes.
You said.
I watched him in New York
Did
City.
he always have this kind of defensive impact
Yes.
on a game?
Yes.
Because sometimes it seems like he can erase from the court every kind of player at this position. And we know that playing small forward in the NBA,
tough.
you have one of the toughest guys to guard.
Ron always had the defensive mentality because he was always very competitive. So it was, if someone tells me I have to stop this player, I will do it. And that's been a strength of his. Now he's getting older, it's a little bit different now to guard Kevin Durant or some of the great young players. But overall in his career, he's always had a defensive mentality because of his toughness and his competitiveness.
Yeah, I think that we can still consider him one of the best defensive player of the overall NBA, because many times I felt kind of upset when I see giving an award as a defensive player of the year to guys like maybe Dwight Howard, because he's so athletic and he block and throw balls into the fifth row. But to me, defensive attitude, I see must be different things, kind of like Timmy Duncan, that can stop your play even without jumping and get the balls off your hand. Everybody knows about what was the concept of defense, about blocking from Bill Russell, not just to throw the ball away, you can take the ball.
Well, with Ron, with me, I was very defensive minded.
Yeah.
So hopefully he learned some things from me, but some of it also is his God-given athleticism and strength.
Yeah. I think
naturally
maybe
strong.
You did a hell of a job, because
I worked with him, and I was always tough on him. And we always have a saying when you coach a New York City player, the coach must be crazier than the player. And I was crazier than him back when I was a young coach.
He's from Queensbridge?
That's right.
You're from New
Brooklyn.
York?
Brooklyn, yeah,
okay.
we're the same place almost, same place. So we both come from the tough streets of New York City. So I was a little crazy too when I was younger.
So we're here in a Eurocamp, so we see many prospects and very talented young guy from European basketball. You do a lot of stuff for college basketball on ESPN. You see some guys, in your opinion, that can be draft pick this year or in the near future?
Yes. Not only do I do college basketball, but I worked at the Eurocamp for 8 years. This is the first year I'm not working, but I'm still here evaluating. So I've seen the very good young European players grow over the last decade. We have had 80 players from this camp drafted. So I like to, I'm coming back for the first time, not to coach, but just to watch. And yes, there's always going to be a few players in this camp that are going to get drafted.
Can you give us a few names?
Sure. Evan Fournier from France.
French guy.
Is 19 years old, a wing player, could be very good. Yesterday at the camp, although he did not play, Kostas Papanikolaou, who was, of course, one of the stars of the Final Four, the EuroLeague Final Four from Greece. He was here yesterday. He may get drafted. And then a couple other players that I think can be second-round picks. The pool in Europe this year for young players is not as deep as it's been. and I think it's just a down cycle. But it'll grow. It'll come back up quickly. This year, not
can also be a fact from seeing. I watched a lot of college basketball this year, and it seemed to me it might be a pretty high amount of talent in this draft.
Yes, but I think that as it relates to the players here in Europe, this is just not that good a crop of players. But it'll come back.
Okay.
But I don't think it's necessarily because it's a deep year for college players. It's a good year. But we have been so used to every year 3 or 4 or 5 international players going in the first round, and this year maybe 1, maybe 2, but I think only 1.
You think that when you watch 2 drafted guys that came from Europe,
Yes.
European leagues instead of American college basketball, do you think that maybe European player have more involved into the fundamentals instead of college players? Sometimes you see amazing athletic ability from these guys.
Yes, I do think so. I think you're right. I think the players over here get taught the fundamentals at an earlier age, and instead of playing 5-on-5, up and down, they teach more at an early age. So the players, this is a generality, but the players in Europe may not be as athletic as the American college players, but their skills and fundamentals are usually better. And so the players that come over, like a Gallinari or a Bargnani or a Batum or Serge Ibaka, who they all came from this camp, they are usually very good in the fundamentals.
Yeah, maybe Ibaka was one of the biggest athletic guys that came out.
He was athletic, but also fundamental. He could shoot very well when he came to camp.
And not so close to the basket when he shoots.
15 feet.
Yeah.
We watched
11
him.
from 11 in the conference final. We all saw that. So.
Yes, we saw that. And when he came to camp here 5 or 6 years ago, we were surprised that a young player from Africa had such good form and fundamentals. And
because most of the time you see huge athletes, but they don't have skills shooting the basketball.
And he did. He was not just a shot blocker and rebounder, but he could make jump shots.
Looking to this NBA draft, which are the players? Of course, we're not discussing about Anthony Davis because everybody knows it's going to be the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
But if you look to the number 2 picks from the Charlotte Bobcats, which is a team in tremendous trouble this year.
Yes.
To be honest, it was a kind of sad scene going out with a 2nd pick after an awful year. The futility record, and you don't even get the 1st pick. That's sad. What kind of player do you think would fit most in this roster?
Well, the thing about Charlotte right now is they really need NBA level players at every position. So
you mean someone already ready to play?
And I think so. Somebody that can contribute immediately, because really, at every single position they have, there's a lack of top NBA talent. So I think what you have to do is you can look for the future, but if you can find somebody that you can already put in your lineup.
So maybe Thomas Robinson should be the correct pick.
Yeah, I like Thomas Robinson. I've watched him quite a bit in college. I cover his games.
He's a very mature guy.
Very mature, physically strong and ready for the league. Great rebounder. He was the best defensive rebounder in college basketball, percentage-wise.
Because he's not so tall for the position.
No. But in Chicago, when I was there, he measured out at 6'9", 6'8" and 3/4. I'm not sure what that would be in centimeters.
Yeah.
But maybe 209, 210. I'm not sure. But
you said it was 6'9". It should be something around like 205.
Okay.
205.
So
like that.
He's got also strength, great nose to rebound, and I think he's going to be a double-double guy immediately in the league.
Okay. So you think it might be a good fit for the 2nd pick?
I do. And there are some other guys like...
I read some names like Bradley Beal from Florida, or maybe also Jeremy Lamb, Micah Gilchrist.
Yeah, so all those guys are going to be in the mix. And the problem this year in the NBA draft is after Anthony Davis, there's no consensus as to who number 2 is.
Yeah, that's right. And going deeper into the draft, do you think it might be some kind of steal in this draft? Because I see some players which I never find it at the top of the list, but to me, I was very impressed by mostly 2 players. Draymond Green from Michigan State, which is a number 1 pick for Digger Phelps, I guess.
Yes.
And the other guy was Jay Crowder from Marquette.
2 good players, 2 very good college players, both in a similar situation.
Both senior
Both seniors, experience, both very good careers. Draymond Green is, for the NBA, he will be a small power forward or a slow small forward.
Kind of like Jared Solinger when you talk about size.
Right, yeah, but he's not as physical, and Draymond can play away from the basket. Very versatile, great teammate. Been very well coached by a very good coach, Tom Izzo. And his only concern to me is which position can he guard? Because he's not the quickest guy.
It's kind of like in between
He's
3
a
and
tweener,
4.
but what we call him is a basketball player.
Yeah.
He's not an athlete, he's a basketball player. And Jay Crowder is very similar. He's a young man whose father played a little bit in the NBA and then played in Europe for a long time. Corey Crowder played in Spain quite a bit. So he has good bloodlines. His coach at Marquette is very similar to Tom Izzo. He makes him work. So when he gets to the NBA, that will not be a surprise.
Okay.
And two guys that I think will go in the late first round with potential to be good players.
Any other steal of the draft in mind?
I think so. A player I like is Jared Cunningham from Oregon State. 6'4" guard, was one of the couple best players in the Pac-10, Pac-12, and he can become a point guard. Tremendous athlete, quick, good defense, good vision to pass, and right now he may be picked from 20 to 30, but I think he's a steal.
Good. Talking about NBA, we have NBA Finals, of course, coming up this week. What are your predictions for this final? Because
well, I think
there's a lot of talking about it.
There's a lot of talking. It's a very big story in the United States, as you know, because of LeBron James and not winning a championship. And then Oklahoma City, a small team, small city, not a big city in the United States. Small market team. They have a great young team with, I think, one of the two best players in the world, Kevin Durant. Is tremendous. And this will be a great series. Oklahoma City will have the home court advantage. So if Miami can go into Oklahoma City and win one of those first two games, it switches. But I like Oklahoma City for no reason, except I like Kevin Durant and James Harden. And it should be a great series. It could go 7 games.
You think maybe, in my opinion, can be an advantage for the Heat this year? They're not everywhere favorites because last year everyone said they're going to win the title. But this year maybe there are more people thinking about OKC is going to win the title, which in some kind of way it brings me back to 2006 titles for Miami, when we saw Dallas go ahead 2-0 in the series. So I think maybe it can be a little advantage for Miami, not being with all the pressure on them, even if we know LeBron, the decision, not 5, not 6, bring a lot of pressure.
Well, I think that normally you would be correct, but I think there's so much pressure on LeBron to win it that I still think, no matter if people think Oklahoma City may be the favorite, truthfully, I think most fans think the Heat are the favorite because of LeBron and Dwayne Wade. And because of that, I think there will be still enormous pressure on LeBron in his 9th season not to have any rings. He's going to feel like it's his time, and we'll have to see if he can handle the pressure. I think he can, but I like Oklahoma City anyway.
What's your opinion about LeBron?
Well, he's a great player, and really he has done great things on and off the court. He's a good guy, but the decision did not make him look good because it made him look like a big shot. And sometimes a player thinks that he's doing the right thing, making a big announcement, and it backfired. So now if he wins a championship, it may quiet some of the critics. But if he doesn't win, it's going to be crazy.
It's going to blow up all the big 3 projects in Miami.
Maybe, maybe not, but it'll still be news, and it'll make a big story for next season.
Is there some young team that maybe had a bad year this season that we can looking forward? Like, I don't know, maybe the T-Wolves had a Rubio injury problem?
Yes, I think the Timberwolves right now are in perfect position. If they get Ricky Rubio back healthy by the early part of the season.
They have the best number 4 in the game.
Well, Kevin Love is a great player.
Full package.
Yes, the whole package. Pekovic, is a tough guy, who was a EuroLeague favorite. Young player. I do think that Minnesota is one of those teams that is ready to make the step up. Tremendous young players, and of course Ricky Rubio, in just a few games he played, excited NBA fans.
Yeah, a lot. Thank you so much, Coach.
My pleasure, Alessandro.